Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Bachelor, Season 26, Episodes 8 and 9. That is Women Tell All, Chris, and also Fantasy Suites. Now, I am dying to talk about that, but I think we'll probably just touch first on the Women Tell All episode because there was quite a lot going on there. I think in the last episode, I speculated that Steve from Jerry Springer might turn up. Steve would have had his hands full, I think, in this episode. So, I mean, what do you reckon to that Women Tell All episode?
Well, it was brilliant again because it kicked off quite rightly. We got a little bit of Cassidy. We got, I think it was Sarah, was it? The one who basically, Claire, she binned off him straight away. Claire it was. And she went, he's boring. See you later. So we had a couple of like baddies. And then it descended into everyone going at Shanae. I mean, Sierra absolutely nailed and was like, let's talk now, bitch. You know, you're talking on off camera behind the screen. Let's go. I think she was taking her earrings out and everything. Shoes were coming off. She was ready to brawl with her. But I've got to say, Dave, and I know you're going to talk about this, but I did feel as if like they over-egged it and it almost verged on. I sort of felt sorry for Shanae in a way because every single person, I'm not saying she didn't deserve it because she was fucking horrid and there was people crying and applauding when she actually got booted off the show. But for a show that prides itself on being good and blah, 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 they love to fucking stir the shit. And I know that's the producers, but they also don't seem to know when enough's enough. Shanae's horrible. She's an absolute Dick Dastardly baddie. She's the ultimate bad girl for the show. She made the show in some respects because she was just horrible. She was a horrid person. But when is enough? Do you understand what I mean? Like, I just felt so uncomfortable towards the end of that episode. I was like, oh, here we go. Everyone's going at Shanae. And I didn't think I'd be like that. I thought I was going to be like, yeah, go and get her. But by the end of it, I was like, we've seen this now for nearly an hour. What more can you say to her? I just thought it was pretty boring in parts when they were just going at Shanae.
What gives you the impression that this show is all about being kind to people? Out of interest, where's that come from? Why do you think that?
I just think it's supposed, we live in a world where it's about doing the right thing. People have been pulled up on this show for bad behavior, and whether it be bullying or gaslighting or what, and I know we're going to talk about in the next episode, but they're supposed to be a moral compass, or I feel that they should be a moral compass, and I don't know. It for me, I just feel they could do better in some respect. It's good
I
TV.
agree with that. Yeah, they absolutely could do better, but they are. See next Tuesdays, Chris. They are bastards. A lot of them. They don't give a fuck about these contestants. They just want to create a bit of drama. And, I just think, I don't know where I've picked up about them being kind or anything, or learning the lessons from the previous seasons where they've been called out. I just think they are bastards. And that's kind of just the way it is right now. With Shanae, I kind of agree with you. I think there was a point where it's like, enough's enough. I mean, Shanae, you've almost got to admire her, haven't you? Oh, there's no almost about it. She has got the skin of a fucking rhino, Chris. She is the meme of the dog sat at a table having a coffee while everything is up in flames behind the dog. I just think how she just, withstood that amount of abuse coming from all directions. And like you say, she invited some of that, but it's a nonsense fucking show at the start, and people are up there and ganging up on her massively. She basically had no one in her corner. You thought Cassidy might be in her corner, but even she wasn't. So I do think it went too far, and I think they could have put a stop to it way before. But tell you what, Chris, got her on the sofa. got her on the couch, didn't it? So she could have her say and whatever. And the people are still going at her. That fucking Genevieve, she's up, with her fucking pointy fingers. At one point, she's raising a hand like she's back at school. It's just fucking hell, Chris. I loved it. And fucking, I tell you what, just while I'm on my high horse for a second, and I haven't even fucking started yet, but yeah, not to drag up the past, Chris, but you did have a little pop at Caitlin. And that's a bit of an understatement, but fucking hell, Jesse Palmer, what a fucking plank of wood he is. Fucking useless. I don't know why he was there, really. Everything's going off, and then he just has his little bits where he's reading off the teleprompter. I just thought he was rubbish, to be honest.
Yeah, and you know what, David? Reminded me of a supply teacher at school. When they used to come in and everyone's like, oh, well, it's a fucking free period now. Let's fucking throw things at each other and fucking draw all over the fucking chalkboard and just dick around. And when he's asking what stuff you do, and he's like, no, it's a fucking free lesson, this. We all just have a chat. Nobody's got respect for him. I agree with him. I mean, he's purposely gone into that episode looking more like fucking Clayton than Clayton tonight. Yeah. I mean, this episode was unbelievable. And we even got an old school video. Clayton showed him the VT, and he is Clayton. Clayton is him, exactly the same. They played on this, like calling that girl the wrong name and everything, but he is useless. He's fucking useless. I don't know whether I should be saying bring back Caitlin, but I think she offers more than Jesse. He is absolutely terrible. You're right. He's sort of like, right, ladies, can you? And then I'm going, fuck you, you bitch, fuck you. And he's going, hello, we're doing a show, and they're all like giving it every. I mean, one thing we'll say with Shanae, and I never thought I'd so not side of it, laugh, is the fact that she's calling all of them fake. All of the girls fake. She has got some fucking cojones on it. You're fake. I'm doing the pointy finger. She's like, me too. Fuck you, you're fake. And then everyone is having a go at her. You know what I mean? Every one of them. I mean, Genevieve, Dave, some of the nasty stuff she was saying about a body, though, you don't say that. She's like, your ass is terrible, you're wearing a diaper. And you're right. I mean, Genevieve's there with a hand up in the air, point, hello, can I speak? And I'm like, fuck me. Like, what is... I mean, Sierra just does not like her, and she went for her completely. And I do think a lot of it was justified. It just got fucking tedious because we had... The Cassidy stuff was brilliant as initially as well. And it's like, you were seeing that guy and she's like, well, I'm not going to fucking get rid of him if I'm onto a good thing. I don't know whether I'm going to go any further. Why do I need to tell him? And if I did get there, I'd kick him to the curb anyway. And it's sort of like, Cassidy's basically telling you and telling every single contestant what their DNA, what they're going to do on this show is. They're going to keep their options open until they get that fucking OK magazine deal. They get that, you're my love, I want to marry her, and there's a load of money to be made. And then they're going to be like, I am so committed to Clayton. So she's sort of going behind the curtain and calling them all out, a la like the fucking room shakedown, the famous room shakedown where that guy had his full plan. That's all these are doing. Every single one of them is there for that reason. And it was good, Dave. It was a great episode, I've got to say. It really was. But the more I hear Clayton speak, fuck me, Dave, he is a dick. I don't like him.
Let's come to Clayton in a minute. I think sticking on Cassidy that you've mentioned there, I think she did pretty well to defend herself because she called out the bullshit of the show. What are the girls so wound up about? Right? The premise of this show is fucking ridiculous, isn't it? Basically, get a bunch of girls in a harem. The guy can do fucking anything. He can fill his boots. We'll discuss that one. We'll put a pin in that one for later, Chris. But the girls cannot even entertain having a relationship on the outside or, having a fuck buddy lined up. Did appreciate how Cassidy said she's not going to give up the dick. Fair play to her. And it's like, well, she's come into this venture with, the idea that, okay, something could happen here. It's not like she's engaged to this guy on the outside. They're fuck buddies. So what crime has she committed And talk about fucking double standards if you look at The Bachelor later. So I thought she did really well. And I think Bachelor in Paradise, I would suspect, is going to have Shanae on. And I tell you what, Chris, we might not cover it. I'll be fucking watching it. But also, it might have Cassidy as well. I just think she did enough there to, like, she had enough airtime, gave an explanation that was absolutely plausible. But it's like the other girls are worshipping this nonsense premise of the show. It's like we should all come in here, all 30 of us, and we should have eyes for no one else but Clayton. We should basically be nuns until we are discarded. And then we should go out and reintegrate back into society. It's all just fucking nonsense, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, God, Dave. It's what makes this show so great. Yep. It does. You're so right. I'm not going to disagree. And I think, like, you look at, they get Sarah on then, don't they? And Sarah, Miss Tears, she can turn them on like a tap. She said that Clayton was crying. It was just like, no, he fucking wasn't. He
fucking crying gate.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, what are you trying to gain? You're not on the show. You're out. They're all trying to gain a little bit of integrity, aren't they? Because they're all bullshitting. They're all fucking blagging what they're doing. They're all thinking of Bachelor in Paradise or whatever other franchise is going to come next for them. I didn't buy any of them fucking crocodile tears, Dave. I must admit. I thought it was nonsense. But I do think, like, Genevieve, Hunter, there's a few of them that they were going at her. And I'm like, but you're all off. I did love some of them going at each other. I love the finger pointing, they're fucking bitching. It's brilliant, Dave. It really is, because it's just like, some of them are just like, well, I've got nothing to lose now. I'm out. I might as well just go for it. And I found it's one of them things where you sort of don't want to watch it and you feel dirty, but you've got to watch it and watch every single minute of it, because something could happen at any time. Someone could just blow up, and it's stupid TV and it's all fake drama, but I am fucking here for it, Dave. This was one of the better episodes for me.
Yeah, no, it was great. And like I say, it is totally going back to the 90s with Jerry Springer at his peak. It was just, it wasn't quite chairs flying about, but verbal barbs definitely being thrown. What I found interesting when Sarah was on the couch, that Kate and Genevieve sort of, they said that basically Mara fell on her sword. And when we were watching the episode, I think we felt that the way it was cut and everything, it just looked like Mara had a bee in her bonnet, and was being painted as the villain. Whereas it sounds like she genuinely was speaking for the rest of the group, and Sarah was being a bit, a bit off with everyone. And I did like when they replayed back the whole thing about, the fake tears, and she's crying, and there's not a fucking, it's bone dry kind of thing. I didn't even remember it being quite so obvious at the time, but yeah, I did appreciate that. But she just still wouldn't let it go, would she? Right up until the end, until Clayton was actually there, and she was like, "Well, I didn't say, we cried together as such, or whatever it was she said." But up to that point, she's like convinced, "Oh yeah, we cried together." Just utter nonsense. But again, she'll probably be a fucking Bachelor in Paradise as well, getting her 15 minutes of fame. So, that's the goal, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the goal. And we got DM Gate, Dave, as well, with Teddy and one of Clayton's brothers, which, you've actually done a bit of digging and come across some things on Twitter, and there's a denial on both sides, Dave. So somebody's fucking lying.
Well, of all the fucks that I give about all the things in the world, there isn't a single one left for whether Clayton's fucking brother emailed Teddy, or DM'd Teddy. She'd mentioned that, and then Clayton, in his fucking wisdom, has decided to tweet out, his brother, denies actually, or is it brother or brothers? Can't even remember now. Denies DMing Teddy, so release the DMs kind of thing. And I'm like, you've got various people interpreting it both ways. That one, that he's calling out Teddy, and two, that he's calling out his brothers. But I was just like, mate, just fucking drop it. I mean, she probably doesn't want that fucking. If she really wanted it, she'd have done it. You know what I mean? It's like it just seemed to be an unnecessary thing for him to call out. Chris, we discussed in the last episode, who do we think is the next Bachelorette? The way Teddy was on that sofa and talking about how she's going to find love and everything, remembering she is a virgin, I'm thinking of those greasy palmed fucking producers in the background thinking, oh my God, we can have a fucking virgin Bachelorette and it will be TV gold. I'm convinced the next Bachelorette is Teddy.
Yes. And there's people online saying, don't do it. She's too young. But I think you're right, Dave. I think there's an emotional investment from the audience, from us, the audience as well, because she did get shafted. So I think she's a really, really pretty girl. And I think that's something. You know what, Dave? You're right. The fucking producers. Let's just think about this. The poor girls openly admitting she's a virgin. Fuck me. They would love. It's probably a bad choice of words, but they would love for her to, get a virginity gone on the show, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah, of
God.
course they would.
Oh
They're
my.
absolute
You know what? I
fuckers.
feel dirty even saying that, but
Yeah.
fuck me, that is awful, and that's exactly what these fuckers are gonna do. Let's be honest. Oh no, that's terrible.
I think so. It's just it's grim, but
yeah.
I hope she doesn't do it. She's got a choice about this thing as well. But just the way she got her moment there and talking about finding love and what have you, and I just felt it was going that way.
What about Dave? The best bit of the episode for me is when the girls went at fucking blockhead Clayton. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. They laid into him about Shanae and his judgment and everything, and he's so fucking cheesy and predictable. He's like, thanks very much for keeping me accountable. You're a dick, mate. An absolute dick.
He's got his little library of catchphrases, hasn't he? And things that he should say. I'm glad you hold me accountable. We fucking told you. We all literally came and told you that Shanae was a nightmare and should go. And you chose to ignore us all because you wanted to fucking shag her. So, that is what it comes down to. And he just, getting called out, he doesn't deal with well, does he? And there were a few girls who said, they kind of know what's coming, which made less sense to me at the time of watching and more sense to me after the fantasy suites.
Yeah.
So, I just thought that was brilliant. I love that grilling. But I mean, we'll get up more onto this. Is this guy fucking deluded or what? I mean, actually, the very last comment I'll have, Chris, I thought it was a bit weird was it Kira, who basically said, I don't care what you've done or whatever, basically come back to my place or something, words to that effect. It was properly laying it out there. I thought that was a bit random, but that was the only kind of other thing. Oh no, wait, Serene was on the couch as well, wasn't she? And saying that, she hasn't put her walls back up, so she's not any worse off. Again, Bachelor in Paradise, I'm pretty sure, for Serene. Anything else on the Women Tell All episode?
No, nothing, Dave. But I do want to talk about the fucking fantasy suites, my friend. The next episode. God. So where do you want to go with this one?
Well, right to the end, because most of the episode was pretty dull, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I did appreciate, Iceland's a beautiful country, isn't it?
Yes.
Not sure I'd want to live there, visit there maybe, but fucking hell, Susie in particular nearly got swept off, Wizard of Oz style. But yeah, I mean, we started off with Rachel, didn't we? And he had the date with her, and again, it's such the amount of money they spend. These are like dream holidays, aren't they? And again, Clayton, he's fucking lapping it up, and it's so obvious, and he's kind of having a good time with her. And Chris, it's very clear at the end of it, that they're gonna fuck, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he does the old "I'm falling in love," kind of thing. But then we get a replay almost, because then he has the date with Gabby and he's doing it. "I'm falling in love." And it's like, hang about, mate. You just fucking said that a minute ago to Rachel. So, yeah. And then you're thinking, the way Gabby is responding to him as well, you're like, oh, yeah. This, because we've seen the previews, haven't we? Like literally every episode up to now that, oh yeah, I was intimate with both of you. It's like, okay. So it's Rachel and Gabby then. That's it was obvious like what was going to happen at the end of that fantasy suite as well. I mean, I feel like I'm racing through, and like I say, it was quite dull until we get to the end. But I mean, any thoughts from you on those first 2 dates?
No, I think what you said before, it absolutely hits with Clayton, is he has a vocabulary of about 15 keywords that he has to get in each episode. Vulnerable, journey, I want to
opening up.
I want to fall in love. I feel I'm falling in love. I'm falling for her. There's all these fucking keywords. That's the only thing he can come out with. And you're right, nothing happened in them relationships. I mean, obviously with the first fantasy suite, he ended up saying, didn't he, to Rachel that he loved her, and he shouted it, didn't he? He was like, "I love you," and all this. And I'm like, yeah, I don't believe any fucking bit of that, mate. But anyway, you carry on walking. Gabby came in with bed hair, so they obviously had a good night. And Susie was there in the background, the one out of the three who's emotionally unstable through this whole thing. They're sort of like, is he going to sleep with any of them? And I've got to say, Dave,
hold on, let's rein that back in a little bit. I don't think she's emotionally unstable. She's just a bit upset that this guy is nailing all of the other contestants. I don't think that's the same. It's
probably not the right terminology.
Unstable.
Okay, I'll accept that. I'll accept that defeat. I mean, she was on the edge all the way through.
Yeah,
I think because all the cards were in, she did not want her man sleeping with two other women. And I've got to say, Dave, I don't advocate cheating at all. But if you were going to cheat, the way that good old hometown American footballer Clayton, everyone loves him, spun it around and basically gaslit Susie was, one, a fucking disgrace, and two, delusional. But it was also a masterstroke because she ended up fucking apologizing. And I'm watching it going, you utter see you next Tuesday, Clayton. What an absolute fake. And we know he's fake anyway, but fake ass person you are. That's the way he turned at the end was the real Clayton. And we said, there must be more layers to him. And the layer he's shown in this episode was fucking horrible. What a horrible, horrible guy.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. It's just, the thing is, to try and look at it objectively, right? This show premise is fucking nonsense, right? And the way they talk as well, I can't remember who said, I think it might have been Rachel, oh, I haven't gone this long, with when I'm dating someone, I haven't gone this long before without seeing them. And it's like, yeah, but you're not really dating, are you? It's just like you're in this harem to be selected when chosen. So the whole show premise, the rules of the game are nonsense. You can't compare it to real life, I think. And so what Susie's kind of doing is she's bringing real life into a nonsense game. So I can kind of get why Clayton basically thinks he can fill his fucking boots, because that's what people have done that before. And you kind of segment these little experiences with the different girls, don't you? And you kind of you don't cross over into those other experiences. You don't. We never really see any of the girls say, "So, I mean, how did your previous date go?" And it's no real massive quizzing. But it's the way he reacted for me that was the most distasteful thing. And as you said, that was the real Clayton. And it's like, to be honest, even though Susie had been a bit, upset at the idea that he was going to fuck the other two, when they were on the date, I thought it was going quite well. But literally, when she asked that question about whether he'd slept with other people, it was like a bunny in the headlights, wasn't it? He just had no idea. My little book of vocabulary catchphrases does not handle this. And so at first he's trying to say, I did sleep with someone, singular, like one of the others. But when pressed, it comes out that he slept with two. So he then starts to basically make the problem all about her and not expressing her expectation that he wouldn't go fucking the other two girls. Now, again, in real life, you say, well, obvious. But again, this it's the show, isn't it? So the show is fucking nonsense. So it's like, well, all right, you may have a tiny, tiny bit of a point there. But I couldn't believe, like, he was going out to the producers, wasn't he? He was like, this is exactly what I was afraid of. We'd have someone who would come in here and she'd hold me accountable for fucking these other girls. What is all that about? And he was absolutely making himself out to be the victim. When the fuck was Susie supposed to say, by the way, one of my red flags or one of my non-negotiables is fucking other people. Just want to let you know that, because I don't know when you have that conversation on this show.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's the problem is this show is so dripping with hypocrisy, isn't it? How many times have we seen them have, on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette? Oh, one of my, it's not red flags, is it? What is it? Non-negotiables. One of my things that I absolutely despise and can't get past is cheating. Yes, we agree on that. Can you send the next one in? It's like, so Clayton is probably, I can't remember him saying that explicitly, but it's not something you need to be fucking told. You're expecting us, the audience, to believe that this is going to end up in marriage. This is going to end up in an engagement. It shouldn't be that fucking hard to think, well, yeah, she might have a bit of a problem with me, just shagging everyone who I get the opportunity to. So, I tell you what, Chris, I realize I've been on my soapbox for a little while, so I'll be quiet in a second, let you speak. But the thing I think more than anything that fucked me off, he literally was so angry. And he was like, because of my faith, I believe that everything happens for a reason. So basically, fuck off and I'll get over it. Me, my wounded little butthurt self. Where you're not happy. I opened myself to be vulnerable to you, and you threw it back in my face because I chose to put my penis in two other people. I just think, you fucking prize knobsock. Clayton fucking egg fart, you are a tit. And so I don't know how he comes back from this, Chris, because again, the fact of what he did and leading up to that, you could kind of say, well, it's the premise of the show, but you fucking gaslighting prick. There is no excuse for how you behaved there. And you think that is fucking normal on any level to behave that way, to the point where Susie is fucking crying her eyes out and you're sending her off in the van. It's like, fucking her problem. She didn't tell me that fucking other people was a red flag. It's just, Chris, I was fucking seething. I finished watching this late last night, and I'm like, I don't know how I can hold on to this rage for so long. I need to speak to Chris right now. But fortunately, even just speaking about it now has just reminded me. I was fucking so pissed off at watching this, Chris.
Yeah, I'm with you. Honestly, I think it just took a real sinister turn. He wanted an excuse to send her home. He'd made his mind up. He'd filled his boots. The moral compass of this show, we always laugh about it, always say about like the amount of women that they snog and everything, and it's all about loyalty and all this shit. And he's like, well, in real life, you wouldn't You wouldn't go out with your girlfriend in real life, and if you were sort of foot buddies, even if you took them out, you wouldn't go, hang on, there's a couple of girls over. I'm going to see how I feel about them and just lay it on them as well and start snogging them or whatever. I'm sure there's clubs you can go to do that day, but it's not the norm as such. So the premise of the show is just bullshit anyway. We know that. The swapping of saliva is part of the course. Everyone's got fucking cold sores and everything because everyone's kissing each other. He's a knob. What he did was a disgrace, and his reasoning behind sending her home was it was just gaslight. I mean, I watched it actually on YouTube again before we recorded, and the comments, Dave, there is not one comment from that scene that is in support of Clayton. Not one fucking comment. It's all, that was a disgrace. What a gaslighting prick. That's the best thing that could have happened to Susie, because she never has to put up with that fucking guy. That's an absolute warning for the other two who are left. We know it's already been filmed, so the decision on whoever he picks is already made. But I think she gets off the best because she gets to walk away from him, because that is not normal. We said there was something about Clayton missing, and this is obviously it. I mean, unbelievable. He looks like the type of guy who would cheat on her in real life and blame her and probably get away with it. It was so bad, Dave. I think that it's going to take him a long time to come back from this, from his image. I really do. I just think such a bad look for him. And also, if that's how he is, then fair fucks, that needs to be exposed. But what an absolute cock.
Yeah. I'd like to say I saw the same kind of responses on Twitter, but I actually saw quite a few comments that were in support of him. It's like, yeah, Susie should have, made her expectations clear. It's like, when would she fucking do that? She did that in hometowns when she doesn't even know she's going to be down to the final three. She was summoned last, so she can only have that conversation with him then.
Yeah. I think she knows the format of the show. In defense of him slightly, I do think what you're saying is right. Is the format of the show is they're going, like I just said, they're swapping saliva, the fantasy suites. It's up to them whether they take it further and they actually sleep with each other. She can't be that naive. She's watched the show before. That's going to happen. But there was no. It's the way he dealt with it was a disgrace for me. I think she was a little naive to think that he isn't going to do that, because at the end of the day, he's obviously a fuckboy, whatever bullshit he's trying to, this hometown hero bollocks he's trying to play, the American dream. He isn't. He's just out there, and the stuff we'd read before about him, he basically is just a fucking fuckboy. But she was naive, no problem with that. She can get called out for that slightly, but it was the way he dealt with her was just wrong for me. Just complete gaslighting bollocks. I just thought, wow, he just needed an excuse to boot her off. And he's like, I'm not talking about it. I'm going to walk you out. And I'm like,
I don't agree. I don't agree that he's looking for an excuse to boot her off. I don't think he was. I think he was saying he loved all three of them. Basically, he's fallen in love with all three of them. So he wanted to fucking nail her as well that night.
I didn't see it like that. I just
thought he did. He wanted to nail her, and he wasn't going to do it. And he was getting all fucking butthurt about it and getting angry at being called out for, her basically saying, it's not something I can get past. Is you having these physical relationships, literally, whether it's the week before or whenever it is, that's what he was annoyed about. I don't think he was looking to get rid of her. And I think the problem I have, again, is not sleeping with the multiple women. I mean, that would make me amused, watching this. But like you said, the problem I have is how he's dealt with it after and got really angry and making himself out to be the victim in all of this, because, the third woman that he's saying he's got feelings for has said, well, I can't get past the fact that you've shagged these other two women. He's all like, oh, because of my faith, I can get past this. Fuck you, you prick. So that's how I feel about it.
No, look, I did see it completely differently, but I think the one thing we agree on is he was a complete cock the way he dealt with it. So that doesn't change at all. That none of that changes. He was just a complete bellend. And we've got a double bubble episode next week to finish off the season. We've got 2 days in a row, Dave. I don't know if you know that, but that's what we've got, unfortunately.
It's fucking great, isn't it? Yeah. Fucking
just to take you into the weekend.
I tell you what, though, I fucking some of the previous seasons, and especially when they get to the end, they've been so dull, haven't they? And they've been a real slog. It's come at the worst time because we're already playing catch up and we're almost there. But, throwing these bloody 2 episodes a week at us just at the wrong time for us. But so when it comes around, I'll be chomping at the bit again. And
brilliant.
Honestly, I can't wait, Chris, because you said, whichever one he chooses. I don't know if he comes back from this. He's got to admit to those girls about what's happened. Or he doesn't have to, but we've seen it in the fucking umpteen previews. So he does. I think they might both walk away,
That's a good prediction. That could be, depending how the producers meddle, Dave, you could be right there.
Well, I think the bed is already made. And, it's one of these things. We know that in previous seasons, bachelors, bachelorettes, they've slept with multiple people. But, I think if it's in that arena of just, there's a bit of doubt, did it happen? Did it not happen? So you could kind of at least make it to the engagement. But then I think if you blatantly come out and just say it as it is, because it looks like he gets a bit of a roasting from his parents, which might prompt him to say, I've got to come clean here, about what's happened before we take the next step.
Well, let's think about biology then. He slept with 2 women. I hope to God he's wore his wellies, Dave, because if he picks one or the other and the other one ends up, pregnant or something, fuck me. That's going to be a hell of a story.
I'm assuming the wellies were on.
So let's hope he did for everyone's sake. But what an interesting week we go into, because I'm really, really looking forward to the next episode. It might be a snooze fest and they might deal with it in the first few minutes and then we get all the lovey-dovey crap. But I think it's leading into a more interesting finale than I expected.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, in terms of this franchise, I think as much as I've been passionate about, lambasting some of Clayton's behavior there, fucking hell, I was engaged with this episode and the women's tell-all. So, and when it gets to this stage in the season, I rarely have been. So, it has been a good season. And I'm so glad we persevered with it, because we were thinking, God, we've done the last few seasons of Bachelor and Bachelorette and it's dull. And it's just a real slog. And, it comes around to Bachelor Day and you're like, oh, fucking hell, 2 hours of this, whereas this season has been, well, it's the best one that we've covered.
Yeah, without a doubt. I've enjoyed it, mate. And we're getting there. We're slowly but surely catching. We said this the last episode. We did. It was maths, but we are on it, guys. We're powering through, and we will get through maths as well. And we've got Love Is Blind episode 3, I think, to come first. So really good stuff. So everyone, enjoy your weekend. Me and Dave are going to have a break from reality TV for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to start watching all over again. And we will catch up. But if you want to contact us, as always, on social media at CD Reality Cast. If you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. And if you do want to support us a little bit more, get onto Patreon, patreon.com/CD Realitycast. And today's roll call of honor, Dave, is Kent Gustafson, Lucky Lulu Green, Lauren Hennessy, Susan Priscilla, Dee Dee, Katie, Helen, Joanna, Zoe, Amy, Noreen, Brianna, Helen, Keith, and Michelle. So thank you so much, guys. Everyone have a great weekend, and I cannot wait. Dave, I've got to say, just before we go, I've got another show up my sleeve that I've come across, but I'm not going to talk about it until we've done all this, okay? I won't inflict that on you, because all it takes is, I'm flaky as fuck and I'll just do anything, but you have to be convinced. And once you watch this show, I think you're going to be in. So we're not talking about it. I'm not discussing it, but I've got something in the back pocket, okay?
It's not Temptation Island. It's a different one.
Well, we have got that. I've got a different one, Dave. That's all I'm going to say.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yes, keep that to yourself. Let's get through this, wade through these 3 seasons that we've got concurrently running. And so thanks to everyone out there for listening. Appreciate hearing our soapbox rants. And we'll speak to you next time.
Take care, everyone. Bye.